Our next story is about Chinese bullying. This is not a report or an allegation. This is video proof. This weekend, the world witnessed it. How China rides roughshod over its neighbors, how it bullies them. Take a look at this. Allow me to explain what's happening here. That big white ship that you see belongs to China's Coast Guard. It is targeting a vessel from the Philippines. And this was not even a military ship. It belonged to the Bureau of Fisheries. Irrespective, China went after it. Let's look at all of this from another angle. Look at how close the Chinese vessel was, barely inches away. And then there was a collision. It happens again and again. Manila says it wasn't just one ship. China targeted another vessel with water cannons. Now, both ships were damaged. One of them completely broke down. It had to be towed away. These run-ins are dramatic and dangerous, but they're not new. China and the Philippines have a long history of it, but now they've become more frequent. And Manila says this latest incident is an escalation.
We choose to maintain our moral high ground. If they're going to choose to do that kind of barbaric attack to prevent the Philippine Coast Guard or the Armed Forces of the Philippines in completing our resupply operation, then let them be so.
So that's the position that Manila has taken. Despite constant provocations, they will not respond with force for now. China is testing their patience. It's a dangerous game to play, given that this is a volatile region, also highly militarized. This is the South China Sea we're talking about. That's where the collision happened. This region is tense with multiple players and many moving parts. The South China Sea is disputed. 6 countries and regions have overlapping claims. There is China and the Philippines, of course. Plus there's Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei and Taiwan. All of them have competing claims. And China's claims are the most expansive. They say they own almost the entire South China Sea. So they've deployed ships here. And they attack their rivals with water cannons. The idea is to assert dominance, to enforce control over disputed waters. And China has amassed a large fleet for this mission. Do you know how many ships Beijing uses to intimidate Manila? As many as 400. They have deployed 400 ships for bullying. And these ships chase Filipino vessels and come close to their territorial waters. Basically, they're meant to provoke and threaten. And what kind of ships are these? They belong to China's Navy and Coast Guard. The rest are controlled by Chinese militia, also called Little Blue Men. The militia operates a number of ships. Now, we don't have the exact figures, but experts say there are hundreds of such ships. They look like commercial vessels, but they're controlled by Chinese militia and funded by Beijing. They in fact support the Chinese military. They act as enforcers. They patrol the disputed waters and ensure China's control on the region. These days, they're seen here, the second Thomas Shoal. It is part of the disputed South China Sea. There is a marooned and rusty ship here. It's called the Sierra Madre. This ship belongs to the Philippines. It was marooned in 1999, but Manila still keeps a handful of Marines here. Why is that? Why deploy soldiers to a ghost ship? Because this shipwreck is like a symbol, an outpost for the Philippines. It represents their claims in these waters. So they don't want to abandon it. It serves as a military base of sorts. Manila keeps a detachment of Marines here to monitor Chinese vessels. And like most remote deployments, these Marines need supplies to survive. They need food and other essentials. These supplies are sent by ships. And increasingly, such missions have become tricky because China blocks or targets supply ships. Reports say around this shipwreck, there were about 100 Chinese ships. When they see a Philippine ship, they threaten it. They fire water cannons. And that's exactly what happened over the weekend. This collision happened near the second Thomas Shoal. The world can see who the aggressor is. The Chinese Coast Guard. They were the aggressors, but they're blaming Manila for what happened.
Despite warnings, the Philippine vessels insisted on intruding into the lagoon and colliding with the Chinese maritime police vessels in a dangerous manner.
Manila has refused to use force so far, but China is not showing any restraint. It is resorting to aggressive tactics, raising the threat of another conflict, one that the world cannot afford, one that China most certainly cannot afford.